First, I want to mention one pretty significant thing, in my opinion, which is something that I noticed watching it the second time around. Hey fellow Force users and fellow superheroes, it's Ahsoka Tano fan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I couldn't resist. This show, WandaVision, has literally been on my mind. There's so many theories out there and so much speculation that I thought in today's video I would talk a little bit about that. You may have noticed I'm wearing a little bit of red today, which I might do in my later videos as well, just because obviously we know red seems to be a predominant theme so far. You have Vision, who's literally red. You have the helicopter that was red. Dottie's bleeding hand is red. The light that was flashing on the toaster was red. Wanda's outfit at the end of episode 2 is red. The gum that Vision chewed on, red gum. And even Mr. Heart. A heart is typically depicted as being red, so the writers are trying to hint at something there, for sure. First, I want to mention one pretty significant thing, in my opinion, which is something that I noticed watching it the second time around. So I was actually showing my mom the show because I thought she might like it because of the whole sitcom type of style. At the end of the second episode, she said, "Oh, the front door looks different." And I'm like, you're right, the door changed. I realized, sure enough, the door actually changed from episode 1 and episode 2. So of course this kind of prompted me to look a little bit more into the episodes, and upon doing so, I realized that the door was not the only thing that appeared to have changed between episode 1 and 2. In fact, the whole damn house is different. Literally, the whole house changed. From the beginning of episode 2, they're in a different house than in episode 1. And so I don't know if anybody else noticed that watching it the first time. I personally didn't notice that, but if you look carefully, the furniture is different, the lamps are different, the phone is in a different location, the dinner table where that, famous or infamous dinner scene took place in episode 1, the table's different in episode 2. The Marvel writers and producers, they know how perceptive and observant Marvel fans are. And so they put these Easter eggs or planted these Easter eggs for us, like the toaster 2000. They had the Strucker watch. All of these kind of subtle clues, but yet one of the more, which should be obvious things, like the whole damn house changing, is not ironically the most noticeable thing. In fact, the writers have created the show in such a way that we are kind of all watching this magical act where we're focusing on certain things, but we're not necessarily even seeing the obvious or things that kind of are more in front of you. If you actually look at the fence as well, that also appeared to change. At the end of episode 2, it looks darker in color, perhaps black. But when you look in episode 1, it's a white picket fence that's there. And so I wonder if somehow that symbolizes the story kind of taking a gradual darker turn, maybe. It makes me wonder if Wanda is changing it herself, or if somehow they are going through time. Some people have pointed out that the ticking from the toaster kind of sounded like a bomb of some sort. A similar ticking was heard in the watch as well. I think that ticking could actually represent time potentially going by, and that would maybe explain why Wanda becomes pregnant so suddenly and so quickly. Maybe it's actually not as quickly as we thought. So that brings me into the next part of the video, which is kind of to discuss a couple theories that I have. So this first theory actually came from a comment that was left on one of my previous videos. Shout out to Noop City 1993. This person commented saying that they think this whole series might be taking place during that period of time in Avengers Infinity War when she is trying to destroy the Mind Stone in Vision's head. Or on Vision's head, I should say. I actually really like this theory because we know that that was a really climatic and significant moment in the movie where she is trying to destroy the stone before Thanos can. You know that she's made several mentions in the movies about wanting more time with her and Vision, and then we know Thanos ends up turning back time and then claiming the stone for himself in the end. And so it's possible that during that whole interaction that maybe Wanda was creating this reality in her head where she gets more time with Vision. And if that's the case, then that could mean that by the end of the series, we could see a really tragic ending where Wanda comes to the realization that Vision is in fact dead and that this whole scenario that she created in her head doesn't exist and she has to now come back to reality.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
So that's a really interesting theory, actually. I really like that theory. This comment made me question something else because it could take place while Wanda is trying to destroy the Mind Stone, but it could also take place after Wanda gets snapped out of existence. Is that a possibility? She's leaning over Vision's dead body at that moment, and then she kind of disappears and vanishes into thin air. Did she go to this reality before she's brought back into existence in Avengers Endgame? It's ironic because just as Thanos snapped everyone out of existence, it's like these people's realities in WandaVision are simply snapped out of existence and erased because they act as though it never happened. Dottie's hand is no longer bleeding and there's no visible cut even if you look later on in the episode. So it's as if it never happened, got snapped out of existence or erased. And with Mr. Hart, he was choking and then just got up and left like nothing had happened. That reality was erased. So either way, is it possible that this series somehow takes place either during Infinity War, during that period of time where she's trying to destroy the Mind Stone, or in between Infinity War and Endgame when she is snapped out of existence and before she comes back into existence? Crazy, right? Another theory I had was I am starting to wonder if Wanda is potentially doing really bad things on the outside world that she is not aware of. We have the helicopter that we see, which when I first saw that, I think I mentioned that in my reaction video, I had wondered if it was somehow a real helicopter that had crashed and then we're seeing the miniature version of it somehow. It got caught in Wanda's reality or something like that. Is it possible that she caused that helicopter to crash? When you had the dinner scene, first off, the way that the wife kept saying stop it, it kind of turned from a joking manner to a more serious manner and almost to the point where she was begging Wanda to stop it, as in like stop choking him kind of thing. He started to choke when? He started to choke right after he got on her to, answer the question. It's a simple question. Then all of a sudden he started choking as soon as he challenged her. And then we have the other scene where Dottie and Wanda are talking and she seems suddenly afraid of Wanda. And when the scene starts, she again kind of accuses Wanda in a similar way that Mr. Hart did. Dottie comes right out and says, I've heard things about you and your husband, and I don't believe you. And then as soon as she says that, then all of a sudden the whole radio scene happens, and then what happens? Dottie ends up cutting her hand and bleeding. Is that someone in the real world bleeding because of something that Wanda has done? She could be in some type of mind control state where she is just wreaking havoc in the real world. She can literally be causing chaos and throwing things around and flipping cars and hurting people and choking people, and that is reflected in these types of scenes where maybe someone's trying to stop her, and as soon as they try and stop her and get too close, she does something to hurt them. And maybe this is why in the show they keep referring to her as Wanda and not Scarlet Witch, because maybe they kind of want us to momentarily forget that she is in fact a witch capable of great powers, and that can include great destruction. So we're less likely to think of that and more likely to think of her as a victim if they refer to her as Wanda and show us that side of her. Just a theory anyway. It's actually such a brilliant form of storytelling how they've done the show so far with having the whole sitcom style. Because what it essentially does is it allows us to forget what we're really watching, which is a Marvel superhero TV show. For moments, we forget about that and we think that we're watching a real sitcom. Just like the characters think their reality is real, until things start to happen that kind of slowly tease the fact that this reality is not real. Like the dinner scene and Wanda flying the helicopter, where the camera angles actually physically change and they bring us kind of out briefly of that whole sitcom style. The whole thing is ironic. Even the magic show that they put on for the talent show, Vision, the way he speaks to the audience about how we're going to be deceived and fooled.
We will lie to you, and yet you will believe our little deceptions. Because human beings are easily fooled due to their limited understanding of the inner workings of the universe.
He's kind of speaking to us because that's what the writers are doing by kind of putting on this whole sitcom facade to cover up what's really going on. We are essentially all part of this magic show. That's why I think it's so brilliant. And once they make that transition, which I believe they will do, from lighthearted sitcom to a more dark, action-packed TV show, which is what we're traditionally used to seeing from Marvel, that whole transition will feel all the more powerful, and it'll really kind of bring us back to reality at the same pace as Wanda and Vision and the rest of the characters. I think this is one of the most brilliant shows that Marvel has ever created for that reason. But yeah, guys, that's it for now. Those are just kind of my thoughts and speculation. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you have any of your own predictions as to how the story might turn out? Did you notice what I mentioned in the beginning with the whole house literally changing? I still can't get over that. That's so brilliant. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment as well to keep the discussion going. I love to hear everyone's thoughts and theories. And so I look forward to it. Until next time, guys, take care. I will see you in the next video, in the next episode of WandaVision.